Computer adaptive interim assessments, like map growth, are valuable and versatile tools to support learning. And I'll explain all these balloons in just a second. We're going to say computer adaptive interim assessments a lot over the next few minutes. So let's first answer, what are they? Students take these tests on a computer, which adjusts the difficulty of items, or questions, as the test learns their strengths and weaknesses. This means that every student answers a set of questions unique to them. An interim means that these assessments are taken several times during the school year to track growth over time, as opposed to summative tests at the end of the year. Map growth is administered 3 times each school year. But there are some misconceptions about what these assessments do and how they can be used. We're going to help you get a few of those misconceptions out of your face so you can get the most out of your adaptive assessment data. Myth number 1. Computer adaptive interim assessments are similar to traditional standardized tests. Reality? Let's highlight 2 big differences between adaptive assessments like map growth and traditional standardized assessments. First, unlike other tests, map growth goes beyond the simple recall of facts in order to engage students in more complex thinking and problem solving. These test items, or questions, go beyond simple multiple choice, instead offering interactive drag-and-drop questions and text entry fields. Second, we call the test adaptive because each student has their own unique assessment experience. Test takers receive their next question based on their previous response, meaning that each kid in your class will get their own unique test that changes as they take it. That's a big difference from a fixed form test. Nearly 50% of the items in map growth assessments are rated at DOK levels 2 or 3, activating that conceptual and strategic thinking. Myth number 2. A student's ultimate goal when taking an adaptive test is to get all the questions right. Reality? Even the highest achieving students won't get every question correct on map growth. These tests continually adjust the difficulty of test questions based on student responses. The more questions you get right, the harder the next questions become. Adaptive assessments, like map growth, are designed to identify a student's zone of proximal development, that sweet spot between what a student can access on their own and what they can do with the right instruction and support. The test is designed to offer questions so that the taker will only answer about 50% correctly. And that's the whole point. Myth number 3. If a student is scoring at the 50th percentile on a computer adaptive interim assessment, that means they're at grade level. Reality. The 50th percentile indicates that a student scored better than 50% of their peers in the same grade level during a specific testing period. It represents the national average, or norm. In other words, the student is performing at an average level compared to their national peers. Map growth also provides linking studies with projections of whether a student is likely to score proficient on their state summative assessment. Together, norms and linking studies help educators know how students are performing compared to their peers and how they are performing compared to state grade level standards. You can find more information on the NWEA website, and there are links in the description and comments as well. Myth number 4. Computer adaptive interim assessments are diagnostic tests that precisely identify discrete skills and standards each student has mastered. Reality. These assessments are more like a sophisticated thermometer than an X-ray. The assessment alerts you when there's an issue requiring attention, but it doesn't provide a specific diagnosis. Map growth is designed to efficiently assess broad content areas like math, reading, and language usage. When used as universal screeners, the test is quite helpful in identifying students who would benefit from certain programming, like interventions or enrichments. At the classroom level, interim assessments are useful in helping teachers focus the attention of their instruction and ask deeper questions. For example, a teacher may notice a group of students with lower scores in geometry compared to their overall math scores and invest in reteaching or other supports to help close those geometry gaps. Understanding student-specific skill mastery across an entire subject would require many more questions than typically included in computer adaptive assessments such as map growth, and would create much longer assessments as well. Myth number 5. Scores from computer adaptive interim assessments are the only data point we need to make informed instructional decisions. Reality. A high-quality computer adaptive interim assessment like MapGrowth is great at detecting broad patterns and screening for potential needs. It's meant to be a starting point to guide further investigation, rather than being your sole determinant for making high-stakes decisions. Any significant decisions you make about a student, whether it's placing them into a gifted group or an intervention group, should be based on additional data sources and observations. This is just one data point in a much larger ecosystem. And hey, have you enjoyed all the myth busting we've been doing so far? Want to learn more about MapGrowth all the time? Hit that subscribe button below and your knowledge will go up. Myth number 6. Assessment data is confusing and hard to understand. Reality, you don't need a PhD to decode MapGrowth scores. We have reference points and reports to guide you at every level. MapGrowth profile reports display results in an accessible, visually friendly manner at the student, class, school, and district levels. For teachers, multiple views are available to put data in the right format to support the most common uses like conferences, goal setting, and forming instructional groups. These reports incorporate normative data to make it quick and easy to compare your students' growth and achievement to other students across the country. They also fold in linking studies to state assessments, the ACT and the SAT, to help you see which students are on track to meet those important milestones. This data should make it easier, not harder, to see where your students are. Myth number 7. Adaptive assessments are too hard or too easy for some students. Reality. What's harder, finishing a marathon in 3 hours or 6, or power walking it for 12? It's a trick question because difficulty can only be measured relative to the maximum effort level of each participant. A 3-hour marathon for an experienced runner may take the same amount of effort as the 6-hour marathon for a first-time or a new runner or a power walker. The same is true for computer adaptive interim assessments. By design, MapGrowth presents approximately the same level of challenge to all students, and each student answers about 50% of the questions correctly. By adjusting test question difficulty, the test provides an appropriate level of challenge for each student based on their ability. Myth number 8. Computer adaptive interim assessments don't tell us much about our high-achieving students. Reality. Adaptive assessments do a much better job at measuring high-achieving students than fixed-form assessments. When the content on an assessment is static or fixed, the outcomes become binary to some extent. Students either know what's there or they don't, or they guessed correctly. When students answer all of the content on fixed-form assessments correctly, it's clear that they know that content, but it doesn't tell you much about what they know beyond what was assessed. Because adaptive assessments continue to adjust based on responses, they can go much further in identifying each student's current ceiling. Furthermore, through growth norms, MapGrowth measures growth relative to similar performing peers. Growth for students at the 99th percentile is compared to other students at the same achievement level, comparisons that can be motivating to our high-achieving students. Watch our Norms 101 video to learn more. Now, instead of a bunch of myths getting in the way, we've got facts to help us along. Metaphors. Thanks for watching, and click like and subscribe.